What's up everybody, Buttercup here, and I bet you thought you'd never hear my voice again. I just wanted to get this video uploaded as my way of saying, no, I'm not dead, I'm still alive, my channel is still here, and I'm going to try and get to uploading some more videos for you guys. I know it's been quite a while since my last video, and frankly I've just been really lazy to get anything done, but hopefully that'll change in the future. So anyway, this game I actually captured yesterday. It's a game of me playing with I'm Not Very Legit and Seven going up against the 5th Teletubby, Z Velocity, and I Fin Bick. And this turns out to be kind of a high-level game, quite a bit higher level than any of the games you've seen on my other videos, especially my Unarranged Uncensored series. And the combo is we have double RB Forge going up against, I believe, Forge RB Brute. I think that sounds correct. We'll find out shortly here. But anyway, I am the Arbiter as well as Seven on my team. He is the Red Arbiter, and I'm Not Very Legit is our Green Forge. And basically, we did play one game before this. As a bit of a background, I just logged on one day trying to get some video footage to capture that I could put up and make this video saying that I'm still alive, and I'm Not Very Legit invited me to a custom game filled with these players, and I decided, okay, I can play this, hopefully we'll get a high level game and I can go ahead and post it to YouTube, and as it turns out, this is what happened. So I'm playing the Arbiter over here, and they have me on offense. I'm going to go attack the Brute. I'm not quite sure whose gamer tag that is. Could probably see it right there real quick, but I couldn't catch the name. And Seven is going to be playing defense with his Red Arbiter, and I believe that that I'm Not Very Legit is going to go with some quick hogs and help me harass this Brute's base. But you'll see me doing some very sloppy things right here in the beginning. This is only the second game I've ever played with I'm Not Very Legit. The first game we played right before this against the same people, and it was on Exile. And I was rolling random UNSC because I'm Not Very Legit and Seven decided to go double RB, and I was ended up with Anders, and I was unable to get Goss going very quickly because their Arbiter had came over to our tech, and it was just one big mess. I was a bit out of my element. I'm not too used to playing UNSC. I'm a much more comfortable Covenant player, as you'll see by the end of this match. And yeah, so I'm over here at the Brute's base. When I went into rage mode over there, you saw me running towards the purple Arbiter's base. That was a bit of a misplay on my part. I had heard one of my teammates say that 2 Brutes had unlocked and they were going towards the teleporter, and I thought I was attacking the Arbiter's base, thinking that the Arbiter had the black base, and that was incorrect on my part. I should have just ran over to Black's lift pad and started raging down his Brutes a lot sooner, and hopefully not 2 of them would have gotten through. But anyway, I'm over here at the Brute's base, and so is I'm Not Very Legit with some of his hogs. The Arbiter did port back from my base and started to get some of I'm Not Very Legit's hogs, but he did do a good job of taking out some of these flamers for me. And I'm trying to rage down the remaining, but my rage is very poorly microed and I'm getting stuck on all of these buildings. So I'm just going to have to pull out for a bit as the Brute moves to Citadel. I think right now I have 2 Suicide Grunts locked up inside of my base. I'm just waiting for a safe time to hot drop those guys in and smash them into some buildings. But at this point it does look like we're getting quite a bit behind. I'm not able to do as much harassment as I would like to, but shortly in a while here you'll see that Legit is bringing his hogs back up. I'm finally moving to Citadel, and soon I'll be able to unlock my base and get these Grunts through. I try to catch those Brutes, but it's too late. They head over to my base. But it's no big deal because Seven is playing defense and he does quite a great job. I don't end up losing any of these buildings, and that Brute will have to recall eventually. I do get 2 of my Suicide Grunts in. I try and rage down this hog before it can ram any of my Suicide Grunts, and I managed to deny that summit. So for the most part, I have to deny the summits here because I'm the one on offense. And occasionally, I'm Not Very Legit comes in with his hogs, helps me deal some residual damage to some of these buildings. Some turrets start coming up and he starts focusing those down. But in the meantime, it's basically me pitted against their Brute as to who can get a summit up first. Well, I guess not get a summit up first. In reality, it looks like purple and red will be the ones fighting for the air lead at this point. I'm not quite sure where the purple Arbiter was at this point, probably either clearing out a base for their forge, or running around somewhere in the map trying to catch I'm Not Very Legit's hogs in a moment of weakness, but that's not going to be the case here. I just continue to keep down these summits. And as far as it goes for early game harassment, one person on your team, primarily the Covey, is definitely going to take the hit as far as points go, and that'll become quite obvious when you see the results at the end of this game, the point spread. As you can see here, I am using a lot of suicide grunts. I think I've already used at least 4, and I'm keeping up. I'm about to pump out a 5th one or a 6th one. I'm not sure which one it is at this point. But I've got to do everything I can to keep these summits down. And whenever I deny a summit, I don't actually get the points for a summit that hasn't actually been built. But I do lose quite a bit of multiplier, and it does count as a unit lost every time I use a suicide grunt to destroy a building. So my score is actually going to be quite low by the end of this game, but it is a necessary hit that I have to take for the team in order for us to secure a victory. And luckily the summit does just barely come up, and I slam these suicide grunts into it, and I do actually get points for that kill. I'm actually doing a pretty poor job as far as high-level games go in harassing this base. My Arbiter keeps automatically walking over to the turret slots whenever he goes to attack a building, and they can easily just push me off of the base for a sliver of time just by queuing up a turret and getting me off of that building. And shortly, yeah, I saw that the base was unlocked, so I went into rage mode to anticipate some brutes coming out, but when I didn't see any brute squads come out immediately, I thought, oh, he's just bluffing me, and I exited rage mode. Unfortunately, the brute just hadn't been built yet, and as soon as I exit rage mode, a pair of brutes walk out and go straight over to that gravity lift and drop right onto my base. But as I said, it's no big deal. 7 is still playing a very hard defense with his Arbiter, and I'm continuing to keep down these summits. I believe this is about the 3rd or 4th one he's attempted to build, and we have it no problem taken down. Legit's giving me some backup with his hogs. If they queue up any turrets, he can easily focus those down, and it does look like Legit has finally gotten his first tank out, which he's bringing over to my base to play some defense to get this brute off of my base. And shortly here, their Orange Ford is going to show that he has tanks as well, bring them over, try and eliminate these hogs very quickly, and try and catch my Arbiter, but I'll have to get out of there as quickly as I can. And this brute recalls, and this is the only base he has, so it's very predictable where he'll be. He starts to vortex down I'm Not Very Legit's hogs. He manages to get a few out of there. I jump into rage mode and quickly take out this brute. So now it looks like the brute's only option here is to go with the air, because I don't think the brute will be coming back out for the remainder of this game. Late game in higher level games, a brute is pretty much useless. He can't handle very many units as a Raging Arbiter would be able to. And as you can see here, he's queued up a double summit, and he's gotten these turrets trying to go up. He is desperate to get these summits up because he is way behind. If his first summit had come up a very long time ago, he would be sitting pretty, but as you can see, I've already got my summit up, and I'm trying to save up money to go to Tech 2, so I can help 7 with the air lead. Purple has been pretty much untouched this entire time, so you can expect a lot of air out of him. So it's up to me to try and get some vampires to help out and keep that air lead suppressed. And as you can see here, we do manage to take out both of those summits, but Legit has just flared over by the left side that Orange has some tanks, and I'm just going to teleport out of there. So with my Arbiter back here, there's not a whole lot to do except move up to Tech 2, start pumping out some vampires, and we'll see where the game goes from there. So while there is this momentary ceasefire, I can go ahead and talk about what I plan to do for this channel, kind of a bit of a channel update, if you will. So as you know, I haven't been posting in quite some time, and that's primarily just because I've been quite a bit lazy to hop onto Halo Wars and do some matches. In reality, I'm actually... Let's see, how can I put this? You're more apt to see me do live commentary videos simply because they're a lot easier for me to make at the time. All I need to do is dedicate one block of time to do both the audio recording and the video recording, and then all I have to do later on is mash the two together, export it out of iMovie, and upload it to YouTube. As a matter of fact, a video like this consumes far more time than a live commentary, simply because I have to record it at one time and then re-commentate over the entire length of the video at another time, put the two together, and export it over to YouTube. So yeah, consider yourself lucky that this video is being put up at all. If I had it my way, it would have been a lot shorter of a video because I really don't have a whole lot to update you guys on. But as far as the videos you can expect coming up, there are two primary videos that I'm working on. The first one is involving Skyrim, and that's quite a bit of a change from the typical Halo Wars content that you're seeing on my website. Someone in an older video had said that they would like to see Skyrim, while some of you continue to say, don't worry about other content, just stick to Halo Wars, that's what we're here for. And like I said in one of my previous videos, I can't do just Halo Wars. That would drive me insane. So I am going to try and get some other content up, but my gaming library is quite stagnant at this point. I haven't bought a new game in quite some time. And I've actually hit endgame in Skyrim, and I'm just waiting for the DLC to drop. And there's not a whole lot I can do in Skyrim, especially as far as content is concerned, because Skyrim, as a single-player game, you don't really have a lot of content that you're willing to show other people. Maybe tutorials on certain quests, or, you know, just glitches here or there, or showcasing certain aspects of the game. But there's really nothing like a multiplayer match that I can show, or something significant that I can show. But one thing I am working on is a tutorial on how to get to the level cap in Skyrim, anticipating the downloadable content to be coming out shortly. So it's taking quite a bit of work. I've already captured a lot of the content for it, but there's still a couple skill trees that I need to level up and capture the footage for that. Then I've got to put it all into iMovie and narrate over the entire thing. But if any of you play Skyrim, you can be looking forward to that. The second video project that I'm working on is going to be a setup video of how I, basically my gaming battle station and the software I use to upload and export my videos. This is basically just a follow-up because Mitch a while ago had done his setup video and showed the computer he uses, his capture card, his gaming library, and you know, how he makes this whole commentary thing possible. And I'll try and get that video uploaded shortly. Some people had been asking for my help as far as how to commentate and export videos using an HD PVR, and I'll try and cover some of that in my setup video. So that's about all I had to update, so with that I guess we can go back to talking about the game. So as you can see here, I am double pumping vampires, which doesn't seem like too good of an idea because in typical games that aren't high leveled, especially that you've seen from my Unarranged Uncensored, I typically always go S-Pro Double Summit, which is just 1 temple, 4 Blessed Warehouses, and 2 summits. And that's just barely enough to sustain a Banshee double pump out of there. In fact, it's actually a little bit slower. You actually don't gain all the 400 resources that you need in order to continuously pump out 2 Banshees at a time. But I think in the case of vampires, vampires are slightly slower to build than Banshees, and you are able to get the 500 supplies in time. As a matter of fact, before I DQ'd that Blessed Warehouse to get this second summit up, I was accruing quite a bit of money, which is kind of what forced me into going S-Pro double vampires, and it paid off quite a bit. Black was a bit slower to get his air units out, and in fact it did go Banshees and tried to harass Legit's Expo over there in the lower left-hand corner. Luckily, between Seven and I, we have plenty of vampires, and we were able to take care of those Banshees quite quickly. But it looks like over here, yes, their forces are pushing up. There's Black with all of his air. He has some Banshees mixed in with vampires, and I'm bringing most of my vampires over. I do believe we have the air lead at this point, but in this exchange, it's going to seem like we don't. For some reason, my vampires are doing a very terrible job of stasising. I need to get quite a bit more practice, high-level practice anyway, with these vampires and their micro. I'm doing everything I can to individually stasis Purple's vampires, which are stasising my units. And whenever I shut down their stasis, I try and find the vampire, or my vampire that they had locked down, and micro that into stasising another one of their vampires. But their Arbiter was over here, and my Arbiter is pretty much out of commission at this point. He was taken out by Purple's Arbiter a very long time ago. But shortly, I think Seven's Red Arbiter will be pulling up to help fend off some of these tanks, and he'll continue to rage down some of the air units. And as you can see here, since Purple's Arbiter is no longer in this fight, he has a lot more time to micro his vampires. And it does seem like we managed to fight off most of their units. One of the bigger problems in this fight was In the lower right-hand corner on our side of the map, Black had actually taken a base and set up his second summit out of there. We have 2 suicide grunts over there trying to deal residual damage to keep that shield from coming back up, but he is slowly cranking vampires out of there, which come up behind us and can stasis us. But as you can see here, all of their air units are gone, 7 is back. He is currently on Vicious Blades Arbiter, and he's managing to scare off all of these tanks. I see these black units over here, try and stasis them, but they just pull into the fog of war, and we lose them. So I think shortly, yes, this base has been flared, and we're going to try and take it down as quickly as possible and begin to push up. This second summit is giving Black a lot of the time he needs, and that secondary base has 1 supply pad on it, which is just giving him residual money, which could be a lead. One of the things you noticed earlier in this game is that I was blessing my warehouses, even while their brute was attacking my base. The reason being there is I was very confident that 7 could play very solid defense, which he managed to do. I actually didn't lose a single building while 7 was defending against the brute, while I was actually attacking the brute's base. The brute was denied several buildings, largely in part due to my suicide grunts, and partially attributed to the fact that Legit did have some of his gunner hogs over there, denying summits, dealing residual damage to supply pads, and keeping turrets from coming up. So Legit has pulled all of his tanks over there. He's going to canny glitch that shield, and we're going to take this base down as quickly as possible. And after this, we're going to try and mount an offense. In that exchange in the lower left-hand corner, we believe that they had lost all of their air units, and I had, I believe, 2 vampires left, and I was continuing to pump out several more. And as you can see here, I am sitting at around 500 supplies each time I go to create 2 more vampires. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to end up taking this base slot that we just cleared out to do 2 things. 1, prevent them from setting back up on our side, and 2, try and get some more residual cash coming on my side. One of the things I have to do here is 7 is a lot farther ahead in taking up his Arbiter than I am. As a matter of fact, I don't even have Fiendish Return on my Arbiter. He's sitting at tech level 0. So what I need to do is I need to somehow get some more income in order to continue holding onto the air lead, as well as get my Arbiter into the fight for helping rage down tanks. Orange should have power turret very, very shortly, as I believe Legit is about to have power turret as well. So as soon as this timer comes down, I'm going to go ahead and grab this base, and my Arbiter right now is still tech 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use him to pick up all of these supplies which are scattered throughout the map. And in the post-game screen, I'm not sure if I stay on it for very long, but you can see that I've picked up quite a bit of supplies despite losing my Ghost very early while trying to pick up the supplies next to their bases at the beginning of the game. So as you can see here, Legit is pushing up with his units, and I'm pushing up with my Vamps. We managed to catch a Banshee right here, which was just placed, I believe, as a scout, so they know when we're pushing up on this side. And we get this flaring going on right in the middle because we have spotted a large majority of Orange's tanks. And as it appears, they are moving down through the middle of the map, very close to my Arbiter at this empty base slot. I'm just trying to keep my Arbiter out of range so they don't see him. And right now it seems like we've lost contact with these tanks, but what they're actually doing is they're trying to pull back up through the middle and go after Legit's tanks, which are right here by the space. And as you can see in down into the left of this screen right now, all of his tanks are there. So I quickly get a stasis on these units, but since they're in the fog of war, they quickly break that stasis. This would have been a very good stasis to have because they weren't all on just 1 vampire. But they break out of that stasis and pull back, some needles get fired off. A D-bomb is dropped. I believe that was Orange's D-bomb because 7 is over here raging down stuff with his Arbiter. Yeah, there he is. But it's too late for them to do anything. He is just barely out of reach of that D-bomb, and he's doing a lot of work to these tanks. We also have the tank lead, and they are quite pinched in there. I'm doing everything I can. I believe I have the majority of the vampires in this encounter, but I am going up against 2 armies of vampires. I don't believe 7 managed to get his stasis off before he went into rage mode. Yeah, as you can see right there, he's got 3 vampires which are just shooting their needles instead of actually stasising units. But that's okay. If I have enough vampires, I can just lock down theirs, and his needles will deal greater residual damage than his stasis would. So all I can do here is continue putting out more and more vampires, my secondary base is up and running. I'm trying to get as many supply pads as I can on it, and this allows me to take the time to shield up my main base, which is something Mitch always says to do as soon as you can afford to do it in higher level games. If they pushed up on my base, I could definitely have been in big trouble, especially if it was just with their vampire units. They could have started to poke down my summits and my supply pads, which had been weakened from when the brute was over on my side. But shortly this shield will come up and I will not have to worry about any of that. In the meantime, I've got my Arbiter continuing to just pick up these supplies, which is making a very huge difference. It's actually allowed me to get Fiendish so far, and shortly I'll be getting, shoot, what's it called? Whatever the Healing Rage ability is, and Vicious Blades shortly after that. So Green has started to push up on this base. I don't think at this point he'll be able to take down Purple's base, but he is dealing quite a bit of damage. He's taking out a lot of Orange's tanks, and my vampires are just continuing to get as much stasis as they can over here. But shortly I think we decide, you know what, we can go ahead and pull back. We've made enough of a push, and shortly we're going to swing around and discover that there is another Covenant base built up near the laser walls, and we'll have to take that base out. So as you can see here, Red has pulled his vampires back, and I just don't have enough vampires to continue this fight. Black and Purple are putting out enough vampires to lock down mine, and they can individually micro 2 sets of vampires instead of me having to micro my 1 set of vampires. But anyway, back at my secondary base, I've managed to get 2 blessed supply pads up right now, which means I am bringing in more money than I originally was on my unshielded primary base. And that short amount of supplies is enough to let me continue to tech up my Arbiter as well as double pump these vampires out at a very easy rate. And at this point it looks like we're going to be making a push on Purple's base. And even though my Arbiter has very little tech, I just go into rage mode for the fear factor, and Seven and I continue to rage down most of these tanks over here, but he has to pull out very immediately. I think he either got hit by a canister shell, or maybe he was even taken out. I don't think I quite see him on the mini-map, or he may have... Oh yeah, he ended up getting cliffed or something, and as you can see he's flaring the lower left-hand corner of the mini-map. He teleported all the way back there. So I have a Rage 1 Arbiter trying to rage down any of these tanks, but my Rage Micro is very poor, and I just have to get out of there. So this Arbiter is raging me down, but I don't think he'll want to follow me for fear of running into Legit's tanks. But anyway, Legit's tanks are moving over to, I think Black has actually set up his secondary base over here. As you can see, he is flaring it, and that is where he is moving right now. But my Arbiter has been ported back. He's out of commission for the time being, and I'm just trying to continue with this air lead that we have for the time being. Oh, I guess it's Purple who had set up this base over here. And as you can see, it's already up to Citadel and has lots and lots of buildings on it. And he's doing everything he can to save it, so he teleports over, he eats an epic all-unit canister, and gets taken out very quickly. And while my vampires are here for support, I don't want to be poking away at that base's shield with my units. It's very important to keep your units in, or your vampires rather, in the fog of war until their air units show up. Getting the stasis initiative is very important in winning these air fights. So since 7 doesn't have very many vampires, only 4 at this point, he goes ahead and moves those up just to use them as bait to get their units to stasis him. And if they end up doing that, I can just sweep in with my huge army of 11 vampires, get the stasis initiative on them, which should free up 7's 4 vampires, and they can rejoin the fight. But anyway, we just quickly take out that base and start pulling back over to the right side since Orange had moved up with all of his tanks. So basically what we're doing here is just a whole bunch of hit and run tactics, trying to hit on the left side, take out a base if we can, move over and hit on the right side. And I believe shortly here we'll be making our final push. It looks like there's only about 3 or 4 minutes left in this video. 7 makes a sweet catch that Black is trying to set up a base over here and trying to get it shielded up. Starts poking away at it with his vampires, stopping the shield, and we very effectively take it down very quickly. Shortly I'll be moving up my Arbiter. He's over here in the middle of the map, and he has accrued quite a bit of resources. He's picked up, I think, 6 or so of these resource boxes around the map, and shortly right here we have a deja vu moment of 7 being able to come up with a pincer attack. We've got Green's units on the right and 7 on the left side, just raging down all of these tanks. Some of the air is starting to come in. My vampires are closely approaching maximum population. I've just got 2 more units that I'm able to build. And I think pretty shortly I'll be queuing up Vicious Return with my Arbiter just to help put the final nail in the coffin against these tanks. But in the meantime, 7 has to get healed up. Since I'm getting Vicious very shortly, I'll go ahead and join him in that spot heal. And we are getting ready to make our final push on these guys. So for the most part, I hope this was a pretty entertaining game. To me, it was a lot more entertaining to play than the Unarranged Uncensored games. Whenever I'm online, I'm not very legit. Always seems to shoot me a message to join his party. I'll try and be doing that a lot more often. Hopefully the high-level games won't go on for this long, or for the most part we can just do searches in 3v3s and go up against scrubs that I can post. Because, like I said, these half-hour-long games take quite the toll on my internet connection. Anywhere from 6 to 8 hours to upload, and if my internet connection gets lost in between, I have to start all over again. But anyway, here's the final push. I come in with my massive air lead, max pop of vampires, and we managed to scare off all of Black's units, and shortly Purple is going to lose his base. Shortly you will hear that I get Vicious Blades researched. I hop into Rage mode and join 7 and just jumping all over these orange tanks, and that will be game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can expect my Skyrim tutorial and my setup video to be uploaded shortly, and I will see you guys later. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and my name is Buttercup, and I am out of here.
Your team is victorious.